What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew to talk to you about the round 12 winner, loser of Nuff of the week. And this week, it goes to someone who's already kind of copped a bit of a hammering over the course of the last few years, really, for a range of different acts. But it's Alastair Clarkson, who obviously there's been a lot said about the racism Hawthorn thing, and we've kind of learnt the results of that and kind of a falling down of a lot of the processes and things that were going on there. And I don't really want to hone in on that because there's a lot of he said, she said, and a lot of inconclusive reporting going on and disagreements and those things. And so it's very hard to try and pass through and find the truth in it. So I'm not going to hone in too much on that. I'm more going to hone in on acts from the last 12 months, acts from this football season, really. Beginning with the comments directed at Jimmy Webster during the preseason, and he, copped a suspended sentence and a fine for that. And now his more recent indiscretion, which we kind of lean on some reporting here from friend of the show, we love her, Anna Pavlou, who has written up here about the various different opinions from footy personalities, in this case Matthew Lloyd, when it comes to Clarko making abusive comments towards AFL umpires. Now, again, as of the time of recording, and I could be in a bubble and have missed the subsequent reports, but I don't think there's been any confirmation yet that he has said or done anything. But the reality is, this is a guy who just cannot keep his mouth shut, who seemingly by default leans on abusive and rude and disrespectful, rather than what we see from so many other coaches, which is not to say that he is better or worse as a coach for being that. But maybe it's more about the bloke himself. Like, we just need to explore how and why this is happening. Why does he feel the need to abuse people or shout at people or be horrible to people as a default? And I know that a lot of the modern day players won't necessarily respond to that sort of thing. And there's a lot of, I guess, social media, just conversation really discussing the ways of the past and the way coaches would address their players versus what we see today. But this is not neither of these indiscretions this year have been comments directed towards his own players. He's not getting them in the rooms and then screaming the house down, though he may be doing that as well. I don't know. It's more about comments that are directed at others that have their own bosses, essentially. Jimmy Webster was going to cop a whack for his behavior, and he did. And Clarko didn't need to intervene, but he did. He couldn't help himself. And the comments here directed at the umpires, where Tom Morris has revealed that Clarkson used vile language in a matter which was heard by those on and around around the umpire's bench during North's loss to Port Adelaide. The AFL investigate blah 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 blah. North Melbourne declined to comment until the investigation has taken place. Morris confirmed it could take a couple of days to have an outcome. If found guilty, Clarkson is reportedly facing at least a 2-week suspension, and that will be the carryover from his comments early in the season. I'd argue that this shouldn't be the suspended weeks that he's copping here. This should be a standalone thing. I think abuse is abuse, and there's an argument to be made that abuse is abuse, and it doesn't matter whether it's making homophobic slurs or just abusing someone, that you should bundle them. But I think he deserves to keep those couple of weeks for the homophobic slur up his sleeve, essentially. The AFL can keep it up their sleeve and throw those at him if he steps out of line, and then whack him for this separately, because it's kind of more of a bringing the game into disrepute thing in terms of the way you address the umpires versus the way you address other players, let alone the nature of the comments themselves. The guy has an anger problem, clearly. And yeah, so here we go. He was slapped from the homophobic slur. He was slapped with a 2-match wholly suspended sanction alongside a $20,000 fine. So he copped the fine. Now it looks like he's going to cop the 2 weeks from that. But I think we need to, and I guess North Melbourne's the one that kind of has to lead this, I hope, take a bit of a deep dive into where he's at as a person. And I understand, especially if, and I do say if, the alleged acts at Hawthorn, if it turns out that's not true or was a bit embellished, or it turns out that he's got nothing to answer for in that regard, I understand that he's been feeling a great deal of stress then. And that as a result of that stress, that you're more prone to everyone. You on the other end of this video right now, you felt stressed, and in moments of stress, you're more likely to act out in ways that you wouldn't normally. That's a natural human behavior. But then, if that's the case, what is Clarko doing to support himself? What are those around him doing to support himself? What is the North Melbourne Football Club doing to support him so that he can focus on the job that he needs to focus on, deal with any of those race allegation things when they emerge? But what's allowing him to focus on what he needs to get out of his own head, to not feel stressed, not feel angry, so that he can go to a game of football as the coach and do what he's there to do, which is coach the players, not abuse the opposition, not abuse the umpires. And we all feel a bit hot-headed towards our opposition and the umpires at times, of course. No one's immune to it, I guess. But it's, as the head coach of a football club, there's a higher level of expectation upon you. And when you step out of line, you need to get whacked. And maybe he needs to get whacked properly here to understand what's required of him as North Melbourne's head coach, as a head coach in the AFL, as a representative of the game. He might need to cop that whack whether he likes it or not, and maybe it needs to be a really heavy-handed one. And I know that for North Melbourne, that's not great because they're already in such a bad place. But I think we need, we're trying to set societal expectations here in terms of how people conduct themselves online, face-to-face, on a football ground. And if we don't want to see children behaving in the same way, then we need to address the key figures in the public arena who are behaving in ways that society deems, or the AFL specifically, is deeming to be behaving in an unsatisfactory way. And Clarko fits that bill right now, right? So what do we need to do to stop this behavior? I don't think he needs to be sacked or any of those sort of things. That's such an unnecessary level of escalation here. But what sort of support or programs can be provided to him to allow him to focus on the job at hand and not get carried away by other things that are around him? We know he's prone to it. Everyone's known he's prone to it. So how did we get here? Why has there not been intervention prior to this? Clarko needs the help, I think, and North Melbourne needs the help potentially to provide him with what's required. It's a tricky one, but right now, Clarko, you're just proving yourself to be a bit of a nuffy. And so that's why you are the winner or loser, matter of perspective, of Nuff of the Week this week. But I genuinely, sincerely hope, because I know that you're a brilliant coach, and I don't I don't love that because I think about 2008. It's still etched in the brain, of course. But I do hope that you get the support you need to be the coach that you need to be, and that you can be there week in, week out for your players, because right now you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting your club at risk, and it's not good for anybody. Clarko, you're a nuffy. Sort it out, please. Cats fans, neutrals, thank you very much for tuning into this Nuff of the Week video. Check out all of our awesome content on the Hoops Crew, the YouTube channel. Check out our socials as well. Visit our Patreon, where you can get 7 days of early access. Not of early access. 7-day free trial, so you can check out all the stuff. But then if you choose to subscribe, you'll get early access and a whole range of exclusive content that you can only find on our Patreon as well. Thank you, as always, to Valhalla Brewing for supporting the channel. You're doing amazing work. You've got a great drop. Thank you very much for that. Until next time, you can find me at Paul James Games. Cats fans, remain Geelong strong. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you later.